gentlemen of the Philippine Senate, our friends from the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority, the Zamboanga City Special Economic Zone Authority, the Optical Media Board, and the Film Development Council of the Philippines. I would like to call to order this budget briefing of Subcommittee M of the Committee on Finance. For the first part, we shall tackle the budgets of the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority, or CESA, and Zamboanga City Special Economic Zone, or ZCESA. Thereafter, we shall discuss the budgets of the Optical Media Board, or OMB, and the Film Development Council of the Philippines, or FDCP. At the outset, let me acknowledge the presence of the following senators. Attending physically, we have Senator Robin Hood Padilla, and attending virtually, we have Senator Bongo. Good afternoon. For this afternoon's hearing, we will first hear the budget of the CESA, to be followed by the ZC CESA. Before we turn it over to our resource persons, may I ask the other senators present at this hearing if they have any opening statement? No opening statement?
There's none, Mr. Chair.
Hearing none, may I ask the committee secretary to acknowledge our resource persons for today's budget briefing?
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me acknowledge the presence of our guests for today's budget hearing for the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority. We have the Administrator and CEO, Honorable Jaime Escaño. We also have the Board Secretary, Attorney Katrina Nepomuceno, Market Specialist, Mr. Gabriel Lingan, and Chief Administrative Officer, we have Mr. Rodrigo Pablo. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I acknowledge the President's, thank you. In the interest of time, and with the permission of my colleagues, we shall finish all the presentations first before we ask for our questions or request for clarification. So at this point, may I call on the CESA Secretary Jaime Escaño to commence the presentation.
Yeah, good afternoon, Senator Mark Villar, and good afternoon, everyone. I will pass the presentation to our business development manager, Mr. Gabe Lingan. Gabe.
Thank you very much, Secretary Escaño. Good afternoon, Senator Villar. Good afternoon, everyone. Is a presentation up already, if I may ask? Yeah. We have prepared a presentation. It should be up on the screen in a bit. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Again, good afternoon. We wish to present to you Cesus budget proposal for the fiscal year 2023. To begin with, for the next slide, is the outline, which consists of just a brief introduction about CESA, its operational highlights, and the budget proposal. On the next slide, we show you CESA's mandate, which we wish to demonstrate that CESA is a government-owned and controlled corporation by virtue of Republic Act 7922. It is tasked to develop and operate the Cagayan Special Economic Zone and Freeport to attract foreign investments and create employment opportunities. It is approximately 620 kilometers just north of Manila and 500 kilometers south of Kaohsiung in Taiwan. Okay, the next slide. The Cagayan Freeport is located in the northeastern part of Luzon, and it's about 54,000 hectares. And it's in the region of the Cagayan Valley. It's located in the municipality of Santa Ana and also consists of the three islands of Apari, Fuga, Barit, and Mabag. Okay. The next slide. Okay. Here we present the completed infrastructure projects or the CESA infrastructure projects, I should say. The first off would be on the next slide, which is the Port Irene Rehabilitation and Development. So this consists of the reclamation of the port laydown area as well as the construction of the said laydown area. It also consists of the construction of the additional road and bridge, as well as a weighing scale, perimeter fence, and street lights. On the next slide, we wish to show you the completed Cesar Warehouse. These consist of the three 4-unit warehouses wherein we offer 16,000 square meters of storage for port users. On the next slide is the San Vicente Causeway. This is a 100-meter causeway in Port San Vicente, which was completed in March 2021. Next is the CESA Corporate Center. This is a 3-story, 5,040 square meter and was completed in August of 2022. Adjacent to it is on the next slide is the 6,000 square meter CESA Commercial Center. This building was completed in January of this year. Okay. On the next slide is the CESA driving range, which is yet to be completed, but it is now at 95.7% complete. Next is the Seawall, which would protect the future CESA Global City. This is a 500-meter seawall and was completed in March 2022. And lastly, on the next slide is the Sanitary Landfill. This was also completed in March 2022. Now we want to show you the registered enterprises on the next slide. So this shows the graph of the number of registered locators from 2011 to 2022. As of June of this year, there are 139 registered enterprises, in which 48 are operational. On the next slide is a graph that shows the capital investments of CESA from 2017 to 2022. And as of June of 2022, CESA has reported 16 billion pesos of capital investments. Next is the employment generation. This graph shows the generated employment in the Cagayan Freeport. It is an aggregate annual employment of Cagayanos, non-Cagayanos, and foreigners from 2017 to 2022. On the next slide would be CESA's revenue generation. So this shows 2017 to 2022 revenue generation by CESA, wherein as of 2022 of June, there is 90 million pesos posted for revenue generation. Now we proceed to the budget requested, and we show a table of comparison between the 2022 GAA and the 2023 original budget proposal and the National Expenditure Program. On the next slide, please. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So in 2022, CESA has a GAA of 228,844,000 pesos. And in 2023, we have requested or proposed a budget of 1,177,611,840 pesos, wherein the National Expenditure Program was allotted for 243,508,000 pesos. Okay. Now, on the next slide, we respectfully request the subcommittee to consider granting CESA an additional budget for the following projects. First is the dredging and reclamation of Port Irene. Second, construction of additional piers. Third, construction of a fuel depot. Fourth, maintenance of the breakwater. Fifth, communication system. And lastly, the circumferential road system. Total amount for these projects would amount to 2,4,611,800 pesos. Okay. And that ends the presentation of CESA. We welcome questions from the senator and the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Are there any senators who'd like to ask first? I have a few. I have a few questions. Looking at the presentation, I noticed the revenues of the CESA were last year. Is this correct? About 90 million pesos.
If I may, Mr. Senator, Mr. Chair, the 90 million pesos is for 2022 as of June.
Yes. I was just curious about the revenues versus the revenues generated versus the request for capital outlay. I noticed that it's the requests are in the billions, 1 billion, and then additional requests for another large amount for these capital outlay projects. I was wondering, does the government hope to see any return on these investments in capital outlay?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. This is Attorney Katrina Nepomuceno. We don't really see an immediate return of investment from those that we have requested in the current for the current budget for 2023. However, we do see that coming future because if you've noticed, sir, that most of this are actually on infrastructure projects. And this would actually bring, we foresee that this would actually bring more investors to the zone. And then thereby, these investors will be contributing more to the revenue generation of CESA.
What kind of investment generators are you expecting after these government investments?
Foremost, Mr. Chair, is that we are actually prioritizing the rehabilitation of Port Irene. So we would like to have the Port Irene be operational, and the main expenditure is really on dredging and basically rehabilitating the piers in the port. But also, if you would notice, Mr. Chair, that there's also a project wherein we would like to rebuild or repair the breakwater because we all know that Santa Ana particularly is often visited by storms. While in the previous years, we have actually built the breakwater. This had been destroyed by several storms that visited Santa Ana particularly. So we would also like to have this breakwater actually repaired because this has not been done ever since by the previous CESA administration and ever since it was constructed.
Yes.
Another, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. Another matter is really on the telecommunication. We are putting a budget, a request for a budget that we will be spending for telecommunication. We intend to build a data center in Santa Ana, Mr. Chair. Previous to 2017, this CESA has several licenses in interactive gaming, and we would like to encourage that most of these interactive gaming offshore operators will be locating again in the zone But before we can even do that and invite them to come back, we really have to rebuild the data center in the zone. We have to improve on the telecommunication, particularly on the connectivity of the zone going offshore.
Yes. My point in this line of questioning is just to make sure that we prioritize our capital expenditures properly. When I was Secretary of DPWH, we would compute the economic IRR of the projects of large ticket projects that above 1 billion pesos. So I just like to uh, manifest that I think that we should also somehow prioritize which projects will lead to direct revenues for government, because of course we have a somewhat tight fiscal situation. So it would be best, I think, that if you feel that the projects that are the most that will translate to greater revenues are those that are related to the telecommunications infrastructure, then I suggest that's one of the ones that we prioritize for budgeting. So my point in the sense of question is just that maybe, given the large amounts that we're talking about and the low revenues of the CESA, we should really look into noting and prioritizing which of the capital expenditures will bear the most fruit.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes, please.
yeah, can we go back to the slide where we can see the present situation of the port, please? Slide, yeah, that one, please. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, uh, in our presentation today, you can see that our previous administrator and CEO built the warehouses, the laydown areas, and other roads going to the port. But you will notice that our port right now is not suitable and cannot accommodate containerized ship coming from Kaohsiung. So you will notice in our request for additional budget, the biggest amount, the biggest amount, item number 2, Port Irene Development, construction of additional pier at Port Irene. And 3, the construction of fuel depot. So you mentioned earlier, Mr. Chairman, how we are going to generate revenue on this request of budget if we can only transform or build an extension from south part of that port and the northern part of that port, and to reclaim it and to build a port that is suitable to accommodate containerized ship, especially containerized ship from Kaohsiung. Because for your information, Mr. Chairman, ship coming from Kaohsiung or feeder vessel coming from Kaohsiung are too big for us to accommodate. Our drop is only 7.5, and the required drop is 14 meters deep. That is the reason why, Mr. Chairman, we need to support the previous project of our administrator who built the the uh, the uh, the developed the port by way of building the warehouses. But if we don't have containerized port in that particular area, for your information, Mr. Chairman, the nearest containerized port is in Subic Bay. For logistic alone, if we're going to use Subic Bay as our transshipment port going to Port Irene, it will cost us a lot, Mr. Chairman. So we are respectfully requesting Your Honor to give us the opportunity to make this port as an industrial port to connect to Kaohsiung and to connect to other neighboring countries, Mr. Chairman. And the item number 2, the return of the revenue, the construction of fuel depot is necessary as of this time. Mr. Chairman and members of the Senate, for your information, Region 2 is the only region that doesn't have any fuel depot. Our fuel coming from Maribeles, coming from Subic. So there are lots of investors who would like to come and would like to locate with us to import fuel, but not all of them have the plan to put up their fuel depot. But me, as the new administrator of CESA, my thinking is that if CESA will build its own fuel depot, it's not the RPT that we're going to only to receive at the end, not the real property tax. I'm sorry with my colleague, not the royalty, not the rental. But if we will put 30 million liter of fuel depot in Port Irene, if you will lease it to the importer and you will ask for 1 peso per liter, maybe you can earn 30 million liter, Mr. Chairman. So that is the reason why this request of CESA right now, more on industrialization of CESA, not particularly in POGO, IGL, or cryptocurrency, Mr. Chairman. That's all in place already. So as new, we need to do something new in the in Port Irene. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you very much for that presentation and for enlightening us on the CESA. For now, we would like to proceed with the presentation of the ZC CESA chair, and I'd like to acknowledge the chairman and administrator, Mr. Raul Regondola. So you may proceed, sir, with the presentation for the ZC CESA.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the Senate and our colleagues here. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Allow me to present to you our proposed 2023 budget. Next slide, please. The Sambanga City Special Economic Zone and Freeport was created by the Public Act 7903. Principal authored by no less than the late Representative Maria Clara Elotegad and former Mayor of Zamboanga City. The law was signed last on February 23, 1995 at Malacanang, Manila, Philippines. Our mandate, next slide please. Our mandate is to attract local and foreign investors, generate employment opportunities, encourage the regional dispersal of industries. Next slide, please. Here are the highlights of our accomplishments. Starting year 2017 to 2021, we have a number of locators from 2017 to 7 increased to 48 for year 2018 and 52 for 2019. And despite of the pandemic on 2020, it's increased from 52 to 81 and subsequently also increased in 2021 by 85. Employment direct 2017 881 and it has increased to 2018 but decreased in 2019 by 674 and 2020 998 and also again decrease on 2021. Our actual investments from 2017 of 1.74 billion, and it was increased to 2.388 billion, and also an increase of billion in 2019, and then increase in 2020 to 93 billion, and on 2021 519 billion. So our actual locators as of June 2022, we have 85. Actual labor as of June 2022, 942. Our actual investment as of June 2022, we have about 5.54 billion. Here are the summary of our registered locator as of June 2022. Next slide, please. We have our expert performance. From the total amount of from 2017, we have a total export performance of 16.7 million US dollars. 2018, it was increased to 17.8 million US dollars, and 2019 it was again increased to 20.3 million dollars, but it was decreased during the pandemic to 9.4 million US dollars. And an unprecedented, again on the 2021, it was increased to 16.8 million US dollars. As of the second quarter of 2022, we have export the amount of 3 billion US dollars. Our export products, semi-processed natural rubber, SPR20, destination Busan, Korea, Land Clark, Yokohama, Tire, Philippines. We have fresh frozen cuttlefish, squid, octopus, silago fish, destination US, Belgium, Vietnam, Japan, and Croatia. Canned sardines, destination Thailand and Malaysia. Next slide, please. Here are the financial accomplishments from year 2017 to 2022. Tuition, 70 million. Allotment, 70 million. Obligation, 69.868 million. Utilization, 60.499 million with a utilization rate of 87%. And on 2018, it was increased 389 million for application and allotment, again 389 million, obligation 388.92 million, and utilization of 359,863 million, with a utilization rate of 93%. On 2019, we have application of 321,656 million. The same figure for allotment, obligation 334 million, and utilization of 244,733 million, utilization rate of 77%. On the 2020 pandemic time, it was decreased to a total only of 134,108 million for obligation. The same amount for allotment, obligation 131,993, utilization of 76,177, utilization rate of 54%. On year 2021, the application was increased to 289 million, same amount for allotment, and obligation 180,406, utilization of 85,792 for a utilization rate of 48%. 22 application 153,389, and allotment 134,889, ongoing operators, and then 0% for utilization rate. With a grand total application of 1.431532 billion, Allotment 1.423, 042 billion. Obligation 1.193 billion. Utilization of 827 million 74 827,074 million with a utilization rate of 75%. Our budget proposal, GAA 2022. Next slide, please. We have 5,061,000. Budget for 2023, same amount, 45,061,000. And 2023 budget per net is 40,862,000. Capital outlay, GAA 2022, 253,389,000. 2023 proposed budget 252,500,000. 2023 approved budget per net 135,111,000. Total GAA 2022 298,450,000. Proposed budget for 2023 297,561,000, and for 127,561,000, and approved budget per net is 275,973,000. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you very much. Are there any questions from any of our senators? I'd like to ask, what is currently what is the government subsidy for the Zamboanga City Special Economic Zone?
Mr. Chair, the total amount is 40,862,000.
The government subsidy.
Subsidy. Yes, po.
I see. And I noticed in your presentation, the revenues are at this halfway through the year is 12.8. Not revenue. What is that? The number? The exports, pala exports. 12.
Export. Yes.
12.8.
Export performance.
Ano pong target by the end of the year?
Yung target po namin dito is more than double the amount.
So that would be the highest ever if pumareach
Yes. Yes. As of
2017 in one quarter.
yes, as of second quarter of 2022, we have an export performance of 12.3 million. So it is expected that we will double this amount, because if you happen to visit yung total amount ng export 17, we already surpassed that yung year 2021 of 16.8 million US dollars.
That's good. That's very encouraging that you're at upward trend in terms of
Yes po.
your performances. So I commend you on that. Are there any questions from other senators at this point?
There's none, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So at this point, I'd like to thank my fellow senators who joined and participate in this meaningful discussion of the CESA and Zamboanga City Special Economic Zone Authority budgets. Your inputs and expertise are valuable in ensuring that their budgets are responsive to the programs of the administration. Maraming salamat po. Without any additional questions or comments, the budgets of the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority and the Zamboanga City Special Economic Zone Authority are hereby approved at the committee level and deemed submitted to the plenary, taking into consideration the discussions today. I would like to convey my gratitude to the CESA and the ZC CESA officials, as well as their respective staffs, for the well-organized budget presentations. Thank you very much and congratulations. I would like to suspend the hearing for 10 minutes to allow the CESA and ZC CESA to pack up and for the next agencies to come in and make the necessary preparations. This hearing is hereby suspended. Thank you. afternoon, everyone. Maraming salamat po. Thank you as well to our colleagues who are with us today. For the second portion of this afternoon's hearing, I would like to call to order this budget briefing of Subcommittee M of the on Finance regarding the budgets of the Optical Media Board, or OMB, and the Film Development Council of the Philippines, or FDCP. Consec, kindly acknowledge our resource persons from the OMB and FDCP.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We would like to acknowledge the presence of the OMB, or the Optical Media Board. We have Chairman and CEO, Honorable Jeremy Marquez, sir. We also have the Executive Director, Ms. Christine Mariel Suntay, ma'am. The Licensing Officer, Ms. Esperanza Coronel. We also have Mr. Rich J. Lotrinia. From the Film Development Council of the Philippines, we have the Chairperson and CEO, Honorable Tirce Cruz III, sir. The Unit Manager for Research and Policy, we have Ms. Rachel Villaluna. Senior Paralegal, we have Cape Cañaveral. The Executive Assistant, we have Ms. Jonina Saraya Cruz. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And may I also acknowledge my colleagues who are present here today. Our colleagues who are present here today. I'd like to acknowledge Senator Jinggoy Estrada and Senator Bongo. So at this point, I'd like to thank again the COMSEC. Good afternoon to the OMB and FDCP officials. Before we turn it over to our resource persons, may I ask the other senators if you have any opening statements?
I think there's no Mr. Chair. They will just ask questions later on.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so at this point, may I now call on the OMB Chair and CEO, Jeremy Marquez, and the OMB family to present to us the details of your budget and what are the programs and projects we can expect from the OMB. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, honorable members of this committee. Myself, along with ED Christine, Rich, and SP, would like to present the proposed budget for fiscal year 2023 for the Optical Media Board, which is an attached agency under the Office of the President. By virtue of, next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. By virtue of Republic Act 9239, or otherwise known as the Optical Media Act of 2003, the OMB was created to promote and protect the intellectual property rights through the regulations of exportations, distribution, and sale of optical media and magnetic media. It regulates the mastering and manufacturing, replication, importation, and the sale of magnetic media and other media storage devices. The agency performs regulatory functions through its exercise of its enforcement and quasi-judicial powers that facilitates the apprehension or eventual prosecution of violators of RA 9239. In 2018, through a memorandum circular, OMB also exercised its jurisdiction over technical variations of optical and magnetic media such as SD drive, hard drive, for the physical performance Special 301 report has kept the Philippines out of its watch list of the IP concerns, and this report was even recognized to the country's efforts to combat counterfeiting.
Sir, for a while, hindi na po marinig ni Senator.
Again, Mr. Chair, for 9 straight years, the USTR Special 301 report has kept the Philippines out of its watch list of countries with IP concerns. The report even recognized the country's effort to combat counterfeiting and piracy. The second outcome indicator was the percentage of registrations and licenses acted upon within the prescribed time frame. The agency maintained timely processings of licenses and permits both for the end of 2021 and this year, the current date, with a target of 97% has been accomplished, and 100%, with all of those 100% fully complied with the time. Issuance of licenses being a complex transaction of 5 days, and for the issuance of permits being a simple transaction within 3 days. The third indicator is the percentage of admin cases filed and charged within 15 days and clearances issued the same day. We'd also like to report that the OMB has accomplished this with 100% of timely filing and charging of admin cases and issuance of clearances as well. The next outcome indicator is the number and percentage of inspection orders served on the optical media establishments acted upon within the prescribed time frame. And in 2021, of course, because of the surge of the COVID cases, the operations halted the enforcement activities of the agency. However, with the efforts of all of the working manpower ng aming ahensya, we still managed to reach 100% in terms of the timeliness. This year, there have been a significant increase in numbers of issuance of IO served. For the first semester alone, the OMB had served a total of 1,512 IOs and has reached, of course, again, 100% timely performance of the same. As the economic trade has started to kick off this year, from a long overhaul of restrictions, the efforts of the agents and the enforcement divisions were sufficient enough to keep up with the demands in carrying out the mandates under the Optical Media Act. Prevalent of the inspected business establishments compassed commercial traders inside proponent malls, their hubs, their digital hubs, what they call, inside the malls in Metro Manila. Another business sector that we have been inspecting includes the distributors and importers of the said digital devices a while ago, and the booming industry of laptops and other electronic gadgets, cell phones and tablets, prominently used as a medium for learning nowadays and transferring digital content, or even at work from home environment scheme, fall under the categories regulated by the agency. Next slide, po. For the fund utilization, the OMB has a total of 74,835,000 of its appropriation during last year. For the PS and RLIP, we had 91% of those, or 46.5 billion has been utilized. For MOOE, 98% or 19.6 was also utilized. And for capital outlay, an allotment of 1.5 million was not utilized due to procurement delays last year. Next slide, please. For this year, we had an amount of 78.7 million for appropriations, and again for our personal services and our LIP, we have obligated 24.7 million or 47.6%. Our 89% or 20.07 million have been obligated since the start of the year and to June 30 has been utilized. For MOO, that's for now, for MOE. For capital outlay, we had a total of 2.9 million, which for the procurements of 2 vehicles, but we've only managed to procure 1, and then the next one will be procured by the end of the year. Next slide. For 2021, the agency has received 6 audit observations, and we'd like to report to this committee that we have finished already the 4. The 2 remaining AOMs is still being complied with, and we expect to have this complied with within the year. One of which is the non-disposal of ICT equipments amounting to 188 million. At present, the management is still awaiting for the appraised value of the unserviceable PPEs, and it's expected to be fully complied with on the end of the year. Another AOM. The team is just waiting for some DVs and other documents to be signed by the end users of the payees. And again, we expect this to be completed this year, completing the 6 AOMs of 2021. Next slide. For the budget review or overview for fiscal year 2023, the OMB has increased a little in terms of personal services and MOE, but generally had decreased by 1.1 million because of no capital outlay. For personal services, the variance is due to the increase of PhilHealth rates of the fiscal year 2023 and mandatory retirements of the 3rd tranche of the salary standardization law. For MOE, the variance is due to the incremental adjustments under the DBM. Memorandum 142 prescribes a tier 1 level, which maintains the OMB online registrations, and another one is for the supply and deliveries of various common used and non-commonly used supplies and equipments in provisions of gasoline, oils, and lubricants for motor vehicles. And again, an assessment for the capital outlay to be absorptive capacity obligation allotments using as basis of 2021. Mr. Chair, for our reports, that's it, po. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your report and your comprehensive presentation. For now, with indulgence of my fellow senators, we will reserve our questions. Then we can ask queries after the next presenter. We will now proceed with the presentation of the FDCP. Maybe call on Chair and COO, Mr. Tirso Cruz III, and the FCDP family to present their budget as well as their programs and projects. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Senator Estrada. Yes, please proceed.
hindi ba muna tayo magtatanong sa OMB before we proceed to the budget of the FDCP?
Originally, we were planning to reserve our questions till, but if you have a question, Senator, of course.
Okay, if that is the policy of the chair, I would defer to the wisdom of the chair.
Okay. Thank you, Senator. Thank you. So at this point, we'll just wait. We'll allow the FDCP to present, and afterwards we can ask questions for both of them as they're both here.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Honorable Senator Mark Villar, Honorable Senator Jingoy Estrada, Honorable Senator Robin Hood Padilla, Honorable Senator Bongo, and Honorable Senators in attendance, ladies and gentlemen, I am Tirso Cruz III, the Chairman and CEO of the Film Development Council of the Philippines, better known as FDCP, and humbly and respectfully, I present to you our Council's budget proposal for the year 2023. First slide, please. The mandate of the Philippine Development Council of the Film Development Council of the Philippines, created via Republic Act 9167, encourages the creation of quality films and content from development to production, from exhibition and distribution. We conduct film-related events that enhance the skill of Filipino talents and amplify economic and cultural opportunities for film industry stakeholders. The FDCP leads the film industry's participation in domestic and international film markets and film festivals to promote and position Philippine cinema to be globally competitive. We also work to preserve and protect films as part of the country's national cultural heritage through film archiving. Next slide, please. Comparing our National Expenditure Program approved budget for 2022 and 2023, there is a decrease of 0.98% from last year's budget. Although it's only in 2022 that the industry has just begun to gain a semblance of its formal operational level after it reopened from the worldwide pandemic slump. From 247.809 million in 2022 to 245.358 million in 2023. Next slide, please. In terms of a budget breakdown by projects, activities, and programs, the total budget of 245.358 million is apportioned to 27.972 million for personal services, 217.386 million for maintenance and other operating expenses. Next slide, please. In terms of percentage of budget allocation to items, 30,970,000, which is 12%, goes to general management and supervision. 203,641,000, 83% goes to film industry promotions and development. And this is where the bulk of the budget goes. You might ask, what are included in these items? Production incentives for local films and international co-productions filming in the Philippines. Representation of the Philippines at international film festivals through marketing and promotional activities. Film education and developmental activities like film labs, workshops, and seminars. Programming for activities and maintenance of 5 Cinematheque centers across the country. Programming and maintenance of the FDCP's online platform, OneFlix, formerly known as the FDCP channel. Various assistance for competition and participation at international film festivals, markets, and labs, including film studies and project development support. Film screenings in support of interagency and private sector partnership. Holding of various industry events like the Philippine Film Industry Month and the Gabi ng Parangal Awards. 10,747,000, which is 4.38%, goes to film preservation, collection, acquisition, digitation, restoration, and conservation. Next slide, please. The highlights of our 2023 budget, 70 million goes to Film Philippines Incentives Production Funds for international productions and co-productions filming and producing in the Philippines. 47.164 million for Create Philippines Film Funds for every stage of filmmaking, from script development to production to post-production and film distribution, exclusively for local films only. Next slide, please. Our proposed 2023 budget covers these programs, activities, and projects. Film Philippines Production Incentives, which is international. Create Philippines Films, which is local. Philippine Film Industry Month, events and partnerships in celebration of Philippine Film Industry Month, including special screening events, exhibits, seminars and talks, and on-site commemoration events. Trainings and workshops, film talks, film school and workshops, labs at local festivals, and sponsored talks with partner agencies. Gabi ng Parangal, wherein we give industry awards for excellence. Philippine Film Archive, scanning and restoration facilities. Film festivals and markets. Philippine Pavilion to represent country's filmmakers and films at local and international industry events. 5 Cinematheque centers across the Philippines for screening of local content and as venues for film-related events. Full Circle Lab and Cine Kabataan, industry labs in competition for the public and the stakeholders. OneFlix, FDCP online edutainment platform for students and the public and the home of prime Filipino cinema. Next slide, please. Our major accomplishments to date in 2022, including the following. Under education and training, 24 film trainings and workshops, 816 participants and attendees, 3 film labs conducted, 35 projects for development, and 7 productions supported. 93 talents supported for film study programs and labs under incentives that encourage quality film production. Film Philippines incentives from January 2020, September to September 2022. 37 projects supported, 207 million total incentives granted. 1.7 billion is estimated the amount to be spent in Philippine pesos by foreign productions. The 207 million of investment is just 12% of the expected return of 1.7 billion. Create PH Films as of June 2022. Script development, project development, small budget productions, large budget productions, post-production and film distribution. Total of 65 projects supported with a total amount of grants of 33.4 million. Case in point, the US TV series Almost Paradise in 2020, which shot for 5 months in Cebu. Location incentive grants of 6.3 million pesos was given to this production. The amount spent in the Philippines by Almost Paradise was 361.4 million pesos. 63 million is just 1.7% of the 361.4 million pesos that Almost Paradise spent. A tiny investment compared to what the country gained. Imagine what we can achieve with more funds to attract bigger projects with more economic potential for the country. Under promotions of Philippine cinema and locally and internationally, 5 regional film festivals supported, 248 films showcased and promoted locally, 49 Filipino films showcased and promoted internationally, 3 international film festivals attended, 4 international film markets attended, 2 Philippine pavilions hosted in Cannes Film Festival, Annecy International Animated Film Festival and Market, 22 producers and filmmakers supported, 28 production companies supported, 3 international festivals which featured the Philippines as the country of spotlight, Udine Far East Festival, Holly Shorts Film Festival, Jilava International Documentary Film Festival. Under providing platforms to showcase Philippine and world cinema, 221 films screened in local platforms, 13 film festivals hosted in local platforms, 32 events hosted in local platforms, 15,505 audiences and viewers. Under preserving our cinematic heritage, as of September 2022, we have 44,221 film elements in our audiovisual library. 3,665 materials collected and deposited for archiving. These are film and non-film. 255 restored films, in-house and outsourced. 423 digitized titles, film and tapes. Slide 8. For reference, we had requested additional budget to cover our current growing needs, and this was the requested additional budget proposed to DBM for 2023. Please don't get shocked. For Film Philippines incentive programs, 200 million. For Create PH Films funding program, 100 million. For Full Circle Lab, 50 million. For Philippine Film Industry Month, 50 million. Film preservation and digitation facilities, 16.5 million. For Philippine Film Archives, transitory facilities and film preservation supplies, 14.1 million. However, none of this were approved by the DBM, unfortunately. We have since made a revised wish list with a much smaller requested total additional budget of 170 million pesos, itemized in a new proposal which we hope you will find acceptable. Slide 9. For FDCP's manpower component, here's a snapshot. 34 approved plantilla positions, 5 approved contractual positions for Philippine Film Export Services Office or FESO, 92 contract of service personnel as of October 2022, a total personnel of 131 people. We need more plantilla positions to fully service the needs of the industry to jumpstart the programs affected by the pandemic slump and for the programs to be sustainable. Thank you so much for your valuable time and attention. This has been Tercio Cruz III, Chairman and CEO of the FDCP. And always, the FDCP will always be at our country's service. And may the good Lord bless us all. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the very comprehensive report. At this point, we have an order of questions. I'd like to start first with Senator Bongo, and then Senator Jingoy Estrada, and Senator Robin Padilla. So, if I'd like to acknowledge Senator Bongo if he has any questions. Okay. If not, we can move on to Senator Jingoy. Senator, please proceed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, and to all our guests from the movie industry. I would like to propose my first question to the chairman of the OMB, Mr. Jerry Marquez. Mr. Chairman, you appointed that position.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, so, what was the question? When was I appointed? Was that it, sir?
When were you appointed?
When? I was appointed October last year, Mr. Chair.
During the term of President Duterte, am I right?
That's correct, sir.
All right. Because somebody emailed me about the performance of the OMB. All right. Let me state it. During your time, there was 0 administrative cases filed against violators of RA 9239 from November 2021, when you took over, till about July of this year, 2022. In contrast, the OMB was averaging 200 administrative cases filed each month before you took over. In fact, the DBM target for administrative cases filed by the OMB per year is 2,500 cases. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, yes, that's correct.
So you never filed any administrative cases against any violators. Am I correct?
If I may be allowed to explain, Mr. Chair?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Being appointed, sir, last year, around October, we found it fit as the management of the Optical Media Board to first see the actual status or kung anong nangyayari sa aming ahensya. Unang-una, gusto kong makilala muna yung aming mga kasama. And before I took oath and assumed for office, siyempre nag-background check na po ako sa aming ahensya. And sad to say po, sa mga channels like 888, CSC, and other avenues where complaints are received, napakarami pong corruption complaints in terms of extortion ng aming agency. Even to the point na nakita ko po sa news last August, September, October, that nagkaroon po ng isang entrapment case ang aming enforcement kasama ang isang lawyer sa aming legal division. And I hope this body does not look at the minimum performance that we have done because we actually preferred to cleanse muna the agency. Kasi kung intensive enforcement po kami, we will be afraid that the complaints will not stop at tuloy-tuloy po. At bilang isang serbisyong pampubliko, ako ay nakasanayan ko na po na pag ikaw ay na-link sa corruption issue, napakahirap na po mag-explain. So kung na-entrap, let's say, ang isang kawani namin during my time, ang dali sabihin na involved po ang inyong lingkod sa mga ganon pangyayari. Kaya po, pinag-aralan namin mabuti bago kami mag-enforcement at tinignan namin ano ba yung dapat gawin. Kasi sa mandate po namin, Mr. Chair, is to promote and protect the intellectual property rights. Eh yung mga kaso kasi after 2018 are all admin cases against computer stores that sells hard drives, that sells cell phones, that sells laptops. Eh, sa akin pong pananaw, parang hindi na ata protection or promotion ng intellectual property rights yun. Eh, sila ho yung nagbebenta lang po ng mga hardwares capable of selling
Sandali lang,
digital.
Mr. Marquez. You've been in office for how many months?
I assume, sir, last October po. Since,
Yes, so how many
mag-1 year na
months?
po ako. Yes po.
Naka-isang taon ka na?
Yes, sir.
1 year in office, and you haven't filed any single administrative case against any violator?
Sir, sorry if I may correct my answer a while ago. Meron naman po, Mr. Chair. But if I may go back to what I was saying kanina.
All right, okay, let me finish.
Yes, sir.
Who was the chairman in 2018?
2018, I believe that was Attorney Ansel Adriano.
2019?
I believe 2000. I'm not sure the exact date, but I assume that was Chairman Attorney Christian Natividad.
2020?
Si Natividad din po, no? Yes,
Okay.
apa.
The administrative penalties that was collected in 2018 was 560,000 pesos. 2019, 1,835,000 pesos. 2020, 350,000 pesos. 2021, from January to November of 2021, before your term, they collected 2,300,000. And during your term, zero collection. What
Mr.
can you say
Chair,
about it, Mr. Chair?
previous to 2018, rampant po yung mga DVDs natin sa komunidad. Kahit sa anong kalye makikita mo po. Kaya during that time, napakadami natin mga seized items.
Ibig niyo pong sabihin, hindi rampant ngayon as compared to before, noong 2018?
Pagdating po sa mga DVDs, I'm proud to say, Mr. Chair, na hindi na masyadong frequent or rampant po yung mga nagbebenta or nagdi-distribute ng mga DVDs po.
Ano po, Pakiulit po.
Hindi na po masyadong nagbebenta ng mga DVDs, sir. Meron pa rin konti-konti, but you know,
Sa Green Hills wala?
Sa Green Hills DVDs, parang wala na rin po, sir. Nasa hard drives na po kasi karamihan po.
So you haven't operated?
No po, nag-cooperate naman po dun, sir. But as per our inspections...
You're sure wala nang DVD sa Green Hills?
Well, baka meron naman po pasulpot-sulpot, but you can no longer...
Hindi kayo nag-operate.
But we feel there's no need to operate
There's no
in Green
need.
Hills at the moment po. Yes po, sir.
There's no need. Alright, number 2. Sige, pagbibigyan kita. Number
Thank you,
2.
sir.
Zero seizures of counterfeit and illegal storage devices from November 2021 when you took over until August of this year. In fact, you recently ordered the OMB agents to conduct seizure operations against violators of RA 9239 just so you can have something to report for the budget deliberations in both houses of Congress. Now, let me state, the amount of seizure per year by the OMB are as follows. 2018, Ang nakolekta nila, 736,155,285. 2019, 309,927,224. 2020, 213,488,755. 2022, 2021, 78,476,700. 2022, January to present, to up to the present, less, and you were the chairman at this time already, less than 100,000 pesos. Are you being remiss on your job, Mr. Chair?
No, Mr. Chair. Again, I come from a training or background na maging business friendly po. At pagka-review ko po ng mga figures
alam mo, Jeremy,
Yes, sir.
hindi pa pwedeng ganun eh. Kasi pagka nagkasala ka, pagkalabag sa batas, kailangan aksyonan mo. Hindi ka naman pwede maging friendly sa lahat. Kung maging friendly ka sa mga kawatan, kung maging friendly ka sa mga violators ng batas, walang mangyayari. Talagang wala kang ma-apprehend. Okay. Ito. Resolved admin cases filed between 2018-2021 under Attorney Adriano, 2,698. Number of resolved admin case during his term. Attorney Christian Natividad, 2,587 during his term from October 20 to October 21. Tapos Attorney Cyrus Paul Valenzuela, 1,093 resolved admin during his term. Jeremy Marquez from November 22, 2021 up to the present, 0 resolved admin cases. Oh, tama ba yan?
Yes, sir.
Oh, bakit ganun? And yung mga predecessors mo, ang daming mga na-resolve na admin cases, tapos ikaw wala. Ni isa wala. Mr. Chair, Senator Mark, I move that we defer the budget of the OMB. Mr. Chair, before that, Chairman Jeremy, ilang beses ka pumapasok sa opisina sa isang linggo?
Well, we cannot count in specific, but I'm there at least three times a week, sir.
Kasi
Not
nakalagay
counting
po
our
dito,
virtual.
you only report once a week in
That's
office.
not true, sir.
Hmm?
That's not true, sir.
And you suspended and subsequently terminated a regular Plantilla employee named Ronnie Tampinco without first securing the necessary approval from the board, who is vested with the power to suspend and terminate employees of the OMB. When there were new members of the board appointed belatedly before the past administration was barred to appoint due to the election. And you convinced these new board members to issue him an authority to discipline employees without need for board approval, and making such authority apply retroactively to his past actions, which involved the suspension and termination of OMB regular employees. You and the board members who signed the resolution is now being made to respond by the ombudsman over this issue. Is this true? You have a case before the ombudsman?
Mr. Chair, yes, that is true for the dismissal of the agent in the enforcement division. That we believe that all due process was conducted and that his termination is in accordance to law, sir.
Mr. Chair, Senator Mark,
Yes,
if I
Senator,
may,
yes.
I would like to move that we defer the budget of the OMB.
Yes, there's a session suspended, if I can Session suspended. Motion by Senator Estrada to defer the budget. So at this point, we will reschedule the budget hearing for the OMB on date to be announced later. Only for the OMB. We still have the budget of the Film Development Council of the Philippines. So motion is approved, and we will reschedule to another date the hearing of the Optical Media Board.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Jingo, if you have any other questions,
Yes, to the FDCP.
please continue.
Yeah, I'd like to propound my question to the chair of FDCP, Mr.
Yes.
Teresa Cruz Lafayette.
Yes, Senator Jinggoy.
Yeah, how many movies are stored at the FDCP?
To date, to my knowledge, we have 44,221 elements.
How did you secure all those movies? These are old movies, I suppose.
Some of them are old, the golden era films. Some of them were
Kasama ka doon?
medyo po, Senator Jinggoy. I think I have a few films there and I also saw your name there, sir. May mga films din po kayo nandun.
I have a movie also stored at the FDCP.
Yeah, we have it stored, sir. Not only the golden classics, the films, but we also have films that are entrusted to us for safekeeping from other productions and for restoration if it is still in the state wherein we have the know-how to do so or we have the equipment to do so.
What about the movie of Tirso Cruz III and Nora Honor? Because I was a big fan of Guy and Pip before. Do you have any movies that are stored at the FDCP? I hope it's not rotten.
Uh, I believe we do have some, Senator Jinggoy, and I believe we're about to receive some from the Sampaguita Pictures for safekeeping. I think there's a couple of Nora Tirso films there, sir.
Are these pictures voluntarily given to the FDCP for safekeeping?
Yes, sir. It's a voluntary system of for safekeeping because we're very proud to say that we have a very well kept vault. And although we lack the equipment and the technical facilities, comparatively speaking, we have a very good vault right now at the FDCP for the Philippine Film Archives.
Mr. Chair, I heard that you are just renting a building where you are holding office. Am I correct?
Yes, Senator Jinggoy, that's true. We have been renting and personally, I would say I am at a loss for words because we feel that if only we could request for funding for our building, which would serve the FDCP better, and that we will be able to realign our budget to be able to help more producers and filmmakers in making films, especially now that the industry is just getting up on its feet.
Okay. How much budget have you allotted just for the rental only?
For the rental, I think we're paying 6 million a year, Senator.
6 million a year. So that's how much
500,000.
divided by 12, please?
Yeah, about 500,000.
500.
Yes, sir.
500,000.
Yes,
Medyo malaki-laki.
yes, Your Honor.
And how many square meters are you renting? Do you know?
Including the office and the coverage of the vault. Right now, I'm just calculating, Senator. It's about 1,000 square meters.
Ilang square meters yung storage ng old films? Malaki ba?
Yes, sir. As far as I
Kasi-
know, we have 5 vaults. We have 5 vaults that, unfortunately, it is already getting filled because a lot of
Kasi
people
yun
are
ang
really starting
importante.
to
Kasi pag wag naman sana kung magkaroon sunog dyan, sayang naman yung mga old films, yung mga classic films ng mga ng ating artista.
Very, very, very true, Senator Jinggoy. And actually, it's one of our dreams to really have our own building to protect our natural heritage in the form of film, ng assets natin. Because when this is lost, ang laking bagay na mawawala po, Senator. And right now, unfortunately, sometimes we're already suffering flooding sometimes. And we're really worried about the vaults right now.
Binabaha yung office ninyo?
Yung sa baba po na part, medyo nag-umpisa ng bahain, dear Lord.
Saan po nakatago yung mga pelikula?
It's an elevated elevated platform man po, about 7 or 8 inches up. But basically, I don't think we should be waiting for the flooding to really start growing higher as time goes by.
have you requested Senator Mark Villar for an additional budget for a new building? Maybe
I
Senator
have
Villar
been, sir, but
can
it's a
work it out.
dream. And since the good chair, Mr. Chair, is there, I would like to request an opportunity to be able to request for a budget for the building. Actually, if the good chair has time, I have a presentation here of how the building would look like and how much it would cost. I I do believe it is not really that expensive because we're very prudent in spending, especially knowing that we are using the taxpayers' money.
Thank you,
Maybe,
Senator Jinggoy, for
Mr.
pointing that
Chair,
out. I will be asking for the related folders, and I will also be forward you copies as well.
Thank you so much, sir. This will
maybe
be a dream come true for the FDCP that has been long praying for this opportunity to have their own building and more importantly, to really be able to protect the films that we have.
Maybe, Mr. Chair, I have to ask Senator Mark if he is an avid fan of Guy and Pip. If not, I don't think that will prosper. But
Eh,
at any rate, one last question addressed to Chairman Pip. We both belong to the movie industry, and
Yes.
you and I know that our industry or the movie industry has already been suffering. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Kumbaga, nasa ICU na. Okay, we have 4 actors currently serving in the Senate, and we
I
can
know.
only do so much.
I know, sir.
But the part of the FDCP, how could we help the ailing movie industry in the Philippines?
Well, right now, sir, the number one problem, like I said, is the situation, especially of the producers. Not to put the blame on anyone, but because of the pandemic, which really caused a lot of damage to, or that really hit the film industry. Aside from that, the high prices of oil and including the war in Ukraine that has been causing not only to the Philippines but worldwide, and the weakening of the peso. The producers of film in the Philippines are really in dire straits, and they really need your support and help. And basically, it is something that we're looking forward to. We're just going through the motions. I think, I believe that it's not something that we can rush. I believe we should take it step by step through through the proper channels at the proper time and the proper moment.
Mr. Chair, I do not have any questions anymore. I
Thank you.
move that we submit the budget of the FDCP the plenary.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you, Senator Jinggoy. This morning, just like to acknowledge first Senator Robin Hood Padilla, who has some questions before we move to adopt.
Magandang hapon po sa ating mahal na tagapangulo, ang ating pong tinitingala, Senator Mark Villar, at sa akin pong mentor sa pelikulang Pilipino, Senator Jinggoy Estrada. At siyempre po, magandang hapon din po sa idolo ng mga artista, Sir Pip. Yan eh.
Magandang hapon po, Senator Robin Hood Padilla.
At sa ating pong
Very flattering indeed. I'm so flattered, Mr. Senator. Salamat po.
siyempre po, atin din pong binabati si Jeremy, anak ng ating kasama din sa pelikulang Pilipino. Isang magandang hapon po sa inyo. Hindi na muna po ako magtatanong sa OMB dahil babalik naman po kayo. Baka po Chairman, bago po ako magtanong sa FDCP, baka po may tatanong po si Senator Bongo sa ating pong OMB. Si Senator Bongo na po muna ang mauna. Chairman, wala daw pong reply si Senator Bongo. Baka gusto niyo na pong i-release ang OMB, Chairman.
Yes, the OMB is excused as there are no more questions from the committee. Thank you.
Okay. Gusto kong magkantahan kami ni Tito Pipe. My pledge of love. Tito, ako po ay masayang-masaya at ang nasa FDCP ay isang batikan at veterano at magaling na aktor at nakakaintindi po talaga kung ano ang matatawag natin na golden era ng pelikulang Pilipino. Dahil sa po yun, alam niyo po, mahal na tagapangulo, Senator Mark Villar, pinalad po kami ni Senator Jinggoy Estrada na inabot po namin yung golden era na yon. Bata pa po ako noon, kuya ko po si Senator Jinggoy Estrada. Ganun? Ganun? Okay. Hindi lang po, hindi daw po niyo ako marinig. Okay na daw po. Opo. Alam niyo po, tulad po ni Senator Jinggoy Estrada, wala po kaming pinag-uusapan dito ng apat na sikat kung tawagin. Ako po, si Senator Lito Lapid, si Senator Bong Revilla, at siyempre po ang leader po namin, si Senator Jinggoy Estrada. Siya po, wala po kaming pinag-uusapan kung hindi paano po namin matutulungan ang industriya. Katunayan na po niyan, recruit pa po namin si Senator Grace po. Kaya 5 sikat na po ang tawag. Opo. Kaya po sana malaman po namin kung ano po ang isusulong namin sa tulong po ni tagapangulo Senator Mark Villar sa Senado. Kasi po alam naman po namin, batid namin na hirap na ang ating industriya, lalo na po nung tumama ang pandemya.
Totoo po yan.
Nauso pa itong streaming na parang wala nang gustong manood ng sine. At gusto na lang po, doon na lang po sila online. Ito po ay naguguluhan dahil kapag tumitingin naman kami sa salamin ng 5 sikat, mas pogi naman kami sa mga tiga South Korea. Wala namang inayos sa amin. Kasi itong ilong ko, kahit sampukin lang ilang beses, wala inayos dito. Bakit mas, palagay niyo po, bakit mas gustong panoorin ng ating mga kababayan ang gawa ng mga Koreano kesa po sa gawa natin? Yun po ang una ko pong tanong.
Siguro po, Senador, dahil sa inabot din naman po ng matagal na paghahanda ang nangyari sa Korea. Siguro po yung ibang tao, ang napo po nila ngayon, ang nakikita po nila kasi yung ibinunga ng maraming taon na pinaghandaan ng Korea yung pinakalagyan nila ngayon. Maraming disiplina, maraming tulong na umabot sa kanila. And kasi right now sila ngayon yung parang forefront ng dito sa Asia at sa Southeast Asia, talagang sila yung nangunguna. Pero naniniwala ako na hindi naman po sa pagmamayabang, sumasangayon po ako sa inyo na mas magaling po tayo. Pagdating po sa larangan ng pelikula, sa pag-arte, mas marami po tayong artistang magagaling. Siguro napag-iwan lang tayo ng konti sa teknolohiya at saka sa preparasyon upang pumantay sa kanila. Ngunit kahit po itong huli, pumunta po ako sa Busan Film Festival, maniwala po kayo, hindi ang taas po ng tingin sa atin ng mga Koreano. kahit yung pong kanilang coffee council na nakamiting namin yung chairman nila, sila po ay hangang-hanga sa atin at sila po ay nagsabi rin na ang Pilipinas daw at ang mga Koreano ay dapat mong magtulungan at nakahanda silang bukas ang kanilang pinto na kung ano mang bagay na maitutulong nila sa atin, sa teknolohiya man o sa dunong, nakahanda po silang i-share dahil alam nila na talagang very promising daw ang industriya ng pelikulang Pilipino sa Pilipinas. So siguro nga, Senador, it's only a matter of time and a matter of support na maibibigay sa amin and full government support na talagang naibigay po talagang tayo naman naniniwala ako at naniniwala akong kayo rin naniniwala na tayo ilalabang kahit na kanino pa sa buong mundo pagdating sa paggawa ng pelikula, sa pag-arte, paggawa ng mga istorya. I think it's just a matter of time nga po. A time and discipline at ang magkatulungan ang buong industriya ulit. Dahil ang talagang nagpahirap naman po sa atin, itong nakalipas na 2 taon ng pandemya. At hindi lang tayo, maging yung mga ibang bansa, maging ang Korea, umamin sila na sila mismo tinamaan din ng pandemya at bumagsak din ng konti ang kanilang negosyo ng pelikula. Yun lang po, masasabi ko.
With all due respect, Senator Robin, pwede lang mag-interject ng isang tanong?
Opo, Manong.
Salamat, Senator Robin. Chairman Pipo, sa tingin nyo ba, dahil dyan sa mga Korean telenovela na yan, di ba, ako, unang-una hindi ako sangayon. Dahil ang aking obserbasyon, pag patuloy tayo na nagpapalabas ng Korean telenovela, ang hinahangaan ng ating mga kababayan, itong mga Koreano. At nawawalan ng trabaho at kita yung ating mga artistang Pilipino. Kaya minsan minsan mapasok sa aking isipan na iba na itong mga telenovela ng mga foreigners na dapat ang mga artista natin Pilipino na talagang may angking galing sa pag-arte, ayun man talaga dapat ang ipalabas natin sa sarili natin bansa. Ang pinopromote natin, yung mga produkto ng Koreano, kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng halos maraming mga produktong Koreano rito sa atin. Imbis na i-promote natin yung sarili natin, ang ipropromote natin yung mga banyaga. Tama po ba ako ron, Mr. Chair?
Tama po kayo, Senator Jinggoy. Ang totoo nga niyan sa FDCP mo ngayon, ang isa po sa pangunahing programa namin ay talagang mag-focus sa paggawa ng mga local films muna. Dahil sabi nga namin, ang unang-una ng importante ay ang maniwala ang kapwa Pilipino sa pelikulang Pilipino. At kanya ang ginagawa namin ngayong focus ay tungkol sa mga local films dahil kung kami man po ay pupunta sa mga film festival, ang gusto po namin ay andala namin yung sariling atin na ipanglalaban natin sa kompetisyon, na ipakikita natin nga sa mga festival na ang Pilipino ay mas matitinding gumawa ng pelikula at madamdamin at mas maganda. Siguro hindi lang natin mapigilan dahil worldwide po negosyo kasi po ito hindi ho natin maawat yung streaming because it's accepted by the whole world already. But siguro to counter it, as far as we're concerned, Filipino first for the Filipinos. And then siguro hindi naman natin maalis yung mga nagninegosyo pero talagang ang focus po namin ngayon. So ang tulungan talaga ang mga producer natin Pilipino at i-promote talaga ang local film natin.
Sorry, Senator Robin, isa lang tanong ulit ha. Kung pwede. Sorry for taking much of your time. Okay lang, Senator Robin?
Opo, Manong, opo. Nakikinig po ako. Marami po akong natututunan. Mga senior ko po kayo eh.
Isa lang, Chairman Pico.
Thank you pag ganti.
Maniniwala ka ba sa aking observation na kaya nagpapalabas sila ng Korean telenovela ng yung mga ating mga malalaking network ay dahil mas mura kaysa mag-produce o mag-produce ng telenovela ng artista natin. Dahil ito, binibili nila sa Korea, mga canned films na. At dinadub nilang sa Ingles o sa Tagalog. Mas mura ba yon kaysa sa mag-produce tayo o mag-produce sila ng mga telenovela na mga artista Pilipino ang gaganap?
Alam niyo po, may katotohanan yung sinabi niyo po, Senator Jinggoy. Nung araw po, nung mga nakalipas na taon, mura nga. Pero ngayon po, magtataka kayo, mahal na po ngayon. Yung mga gawa ng Koreano, mahal na po ngayon pag binibili natin o ng ibang bansa. At ang mga ibang bansa nga ay parang tumutok ng papunta sa kanila. Sa kanila na umaasa sa paggawa ng mga palabas, sa paggawa ng mga streaming, sa paggawa ng mga serye. Sa kanila na tumututok ngayon. I think it's just that nagkataon lang na financially po mas malaki ang tulong sa kanila ng mga private sector nila at ng gobyerno nila. Kanya mas
So, alin
malakas ang loob
na
nilang
mas
gumawa.
malaki?
Ang support ang
Chairman,
binibigay, pera na binibigay sa kanila, yung support na nakukuha ng Korea, mas malaki.
Okay, Chairman Pip, ano mas malaki? Bumili sila ng canned na Korean telenovela para ipalabas sa atin o mag-produce sila ng ang mga artista, yung mga Pilipino?
Sa ngayon po, Senador, I think somehow you also heard already. Sa ngayon po kasi para gumawa tayo ng isang quality film, we're talking about between 10 to 30 million pesos ang isang pelikula. And hindi na ho biro ngayon dahil ang problema nga sabi nila para ma-recover daw ng isang producer ang kanyang itatayang 30 million, he will have to earn triple or 270% just to be able to recover his
Investment.
his investment. Opo, yun. That's why siguro kanya kumisa iniisip nila, kanya binibili nila yung mga Korean films kahit na medyo mahal, buo na kasi. At saka mas malaki
Pip,
ang coverage.
Chairman Pip, but I'm only talking about telenovela here, not movies.
Yeah, kahit
Anong-
po telenovela, kahit ang telenovela po natin ngayon mahal na rin po. Ang bawat isang episode po ngayon, napakalaki na po na ang alam ko, na balitaan ko po, sa isang episode po ng series, gagasta ang producer ng between 800 to 1 million pesos for one
Isang
episode.
episode.
Isang
So
episode
magkano
po.
isang episode ng Korean telenovela?
Unfortunately, Senator Jinggoy, right now I am not privy to that kung magkano talaga ang bilihan dahil I am not in the market naman of buying yung business ng
Okay.
government.
So yung sinasabi niyong 800,000 to 1 million per episode, kung tayo ang gagawa, kung mga Pilipinong artista ang gaganap, that's 800,000 to 1 million.
Yun na, ganun po. Ang sinasabi ko pong 800 to 1,000 ay mga series na ginagawa natin dito.
Ilan days yun yung isang episode, ilan weeks yun palalabas?
Depende po. Depende sa haba ng series na ipe-present nila. Kuminsan kasi gumagawa sila 14 episodes, kuminsan 16 episodes, and then dinidivide nila yung pag-airing dahil siyempre meron pong linalagyan ng commercial, so kumakain po ng oras yun na papaikli yung material. Kanya humahaba, nag-stretch.
O baka nagpapalaki lang dyan yung mga talent fee ng mga artista katulad mo?
Hindi po malaki ang talent fee ko dahil hindi na naman po ako lumalabas na leading man. Ako po lumalabas na lang pong mananakot at isang bandido. Ang suporta na po ako at hindi na po ako teenager.
Sige, yun lang. Salamat, Senator Robin.
Opo. Sundan ko lang po yun. Maaari siguro dyan, Chairman, atin pong tagapangulo. Maaari po ba para maging patas naman ang laban po ng ating mga... Base po sa ating pag-aaral, hindi lamang po ito sa usapin ng Korea, kundi sa ibang bansa din po, ang proteksyon nila sa kanilang local industry
ay mataas. Katunayan, bilang pa nga po ng pelikula na dapat pumasok lang sa kanila, ano? Hindi po nila pinapayagan na mas madami yung foreign movies doon sa local movies. At ganoon din po siguro pagdating po sa telebisyon, yung mga programa. Halimbawa, maaari po bang gawan natin ng paraan na taasan natin ang tax nitong mga foreign na series na pumapasok sa atin para kahit paano po, yung subsidiya nito, makukuha natin to. Bigay natin sa mga workers sa industriya natin, sa local. Kung paano po yung ginawa natin diyan sa, kasi galing po ako doon sa agriculture hearing eh. Kung may rice tarification tayo, gagawin natin foreign teleserye tarification. Taripahan natin itong mga ano na 'to, itong mga pagpasok ng mga foreign na ano sa atin. Dahil marami pong nawawalan talaga ng trabaho dito. Hindi naman po tayo, para sa akin po, ang hirap naman kung iban natin sila katulad po ng sinabi ng ating manong Senator Jinggoy Estrada. Pero dapat lang po siguro, Chairman, ating mahal na tagapangulo, maging patas lang po tayo. Kawawa po ang ating industriya. Tsaka yung po bang film FDCP, di ba dapat po, palitan nyo na yung pangalan nyo, dapat motion picture yata po kayo, hindi dapat film. Kasi film, hindi na po yan sinasabing pelikula lang na yun. Kapag sinabi mong film, kahit na mga dokumentaryo, film yan. Diyan po sa, pag tinignan niyo po sa streaming, Netflix, kahit anong Flix yan, laging film by. Kasi hindi po yata dapat, dapat yata motion picture development council na po kayo.
Tama po kayo, Senator. Actually, ngayon po, ang term na nga po na ginagamit nila, modernized, is content.
Okay.
Content na po ang consideration nila pag may ginawa ka, whether pang TV, pang series, full-length film, content ang tawag nila. Kanya tama yung sabi po ninyo, talagang kinakailangan talaga sana mabalanse yung yung sa pangangalaga ng pelikulang Pilipino.
Opo. Sir, mabalik lang po ako dun sa kanina. Tapos na po yung aming hysteria dito sa Korean teleserye. Medyo pag-uusapan na lang po namin ito ng grupo. Nabanggit po kanina na meron po tayong 44,200 film.
44,221 film elements. Bali, ano po yung hindi lang pelikula, kundi mga Betamax, tape, sorry, napatay pala yung mic ko. 44,221, sir. Film elements. So, halo-halo po yun. Featured film, tape, non-film, yun po yung mga nandun po sa ating archives ngayon. Sa ating po yun, Philippine Film Archives po ang tawag.
Ito po ay magandang quality pa.
Meron pong magaganda pero meron din pong medyo may damage sa. Meron po namang, unfortunately, meron po huli nang naibibigay sa amin beyond restoration na po. At saka ang masakit po, gusto ko lang po paalam sa inyo, Senator Padilla, sa bawat pelikula pong i-restore, naglalaro po ang halaga niyan between 2 million hanggang maaring umabot ng 8 million o mahigit pa. Depende po sa damage po nung pelikula, nung negatibo. Kanya ko minsan, pag humihingi ho kami ng budgeting, nagtataka nga sila bakit daw ganun lang, kaliit na 4 lang. Kasi nga po, bawat pelikula po hindi niyo masusukat kung magkano po ang gagastahin para ma-completely ma-restore po yung pelikula.
Sige po. Lilipat po ako.
Ni Senator Mo.
Hindi, okay lang po. Yun po, katulad po nun. Alam nyo, kung ito po ay paprajikin, ang pelikula, pag tinignan po natin, investment po ito na tuloy-tuloy habang buhay.
Ito po yung
Kapag
sinasabi
ito
natin.
po ay na-preserve, na-restore, wala pong pagtanda dito kasi katulad po ng sinabi nyo kanina, saysayan po ito, kultura.
So, totoo po
Ito po ay masasabi na treasure natin. Yes. Opo. Kasi kung meron po akong, mahilig po ako sa lumang pelikula eh. Meron din pong mga channel sa abroad dyan eh. Mga lumang pelikula ng Amerikano. Meron po ba kayong idea na magkaroon ng ganun?
Sa ngayon po, ang FDCP po, merong sariling channel.
Opo. Naglalabas po doon?
Oo, naglalabas po kami ng mga classic films, ng mga restored films. Linalabas po namin doon. Ang tawag po namin Juan. Parang si Juan, Juan Flix. So it's a online channel and mura lang po ang 99 pesos per month. Opo, by one to sawa na, manunod ka.
Meron po kami isang pelikulang ipinalabas doon, yung Memoirs of a Teenage Rebel. Opo, nung panahon po ni Ma'am Dino. Opo, naglabas po ako doon. Kaya familiar po ako doon. Yun po, hindi mo pwede po natin i-promote yun, yung OneFlix na yun.
Pinopromote po namin ngayon, pinapaalam namin sa online para malaman ng mga kabataan. At saka yun din po, kasi nga ang isa rin sa programa namin sa FDCP, gaya po nung sabi ninyo, kultura po natin to, yung mga pelikulang golden na maaaring ito po ituturo sa mga dadating na henerasyon na matutunan nila. Kumbaga sabi ko nga, tinarin ng natin ang ma-preserve yung history natin, lalo na yung mga pelikula nating historical. Dahil pagdating ng araw, kailangan maipaalam natin sa mga kabataan na meron po tayong galing at talino na paggawa ng pelikula na ang ating pong kasaysayan, ang ating salinlahing kasaysayan, nakatago rin sa mga pelikulang ito na gaya nga na sabi niyo po, dapat po talaga nating pangalagaan at protektahan.
Ako po'y naniniwala dyan sapagkat dito po sa Southeast Asia, tayo po ang unang gumawa ng pelikula.
Totoo po yan.
At tayo po lagi ang nananalong Best Actor, Best Picture, sa Asia po yan sa Asia. Kaya ako po'y nalulungkot talaga sa naratingan po ng industriya natin ngayon. At umaasa po ako, kasama po ang ating mahal na tagapangulo, Mark Villar, dahil ngayon po sa katunayan po, eksakto po na napunta po itong hearing na to sa ating pong kabatch na senador na si tagapangulong Mark Villar sapagkat sila po din ay ngayon ay may istasyon na. Kaya napakalaking bagay po, pinagpala po tayo na nagkasama-sama po tayo ngayong araw na to. Kasama din po natin si Senator Jinggoy Estrada at ganoon din po si Senator Bongo na pansamantala din po, siya din po ang tumayo sa Manila Film Festival na lahat po ay nagmamalasakit sa pelikulang Pilipino. Kaya po siguro ito na po yung umpisa na makaabante po tayo. Ito lang po, isang tanong ko lang po, sa building po ninyo kasi napaka-importante po nito.
Totoo po yung sinabi niyo, Senador.
Kasi tama po kanina si Senator Jinggoy Estrada isang sunog lang.
Nako, wag naman po.
Ayun nga po andito po kasi Architecture and Engineering Plans for New FDCP, 15 million. Magkano po ba yung building na dapat panggawa po ninyo?
Ang amin pong pinaghahandaan na sabi nga namin, pinasukat po namin noon sa aming attorney. Yung ang gumawa po noon yung aming namumuno ng Philippine Archives. Dahil talagang sa kanya, yun ang kanyang trabaho po sa amin. Yung building na pinopropose niya ay aabutin po ng 150 million.
10%. Opo, 10% mapupunta sa architecture.
Architecture and design pa lang po. Opo.
Ano po ito? Meron na po ba ito po ba yung na connivance na hindi na aproban?
Meron na pong pinag-uusapan pati po yung pagtatayuan sana Kanya lang po talagang unfortunately po hindi pa namin talaga ma-present nga dahil parang malaki ang kailangang magugol Kanya nga sabi ko sa totoo lang po kami maniniklop tuhod sa inyo mga senador na matulong para malikon po namin yung halagang ito at sa lalong madaling panahon may tayo yung building dahil gaya nga lang nabanggit namin kanina bumabayad po kami ng 250,000 buwan-buwan para lang po sa renta ng lugar. Ngayon inisip po namin na kung makapagpapatayo kami ng building, the building will be good for 40 to 50 years na pangangalagaan and hindi na magbabayad ng rental. At yung pong nabayad namin sa rental, marirealign namin ngayon na pantulong dun sa mga produksyon at sa mga pelikula. Lalong-lalo na po lalo na ngayon, yung mga bata po, yung nag-uumpisa pong batang mga direktor at mga scriptwriter, ay nako, hahanga po kayo. Bigyan ko po ng isang example, yung Sinimalaya. Sa Sinimalaya po, hindi pa namin na ibibigay, pero nitong huling Sinimalaya, yung 10 pong finalist, nag-pledge po kami, nabibigyan po namin ng tigi 1 milyon para matulungan yung pag-produce nila ng mga pelikula nila. Sana nga po, isa sa mga araw na ito, maimbita namin kayo, mag-screen kami. Mapanood niyo po yung mga gawa ng mga bagong bata. Nakakahanga po talaga na makita mong ang galing talaga ng Pilipino kahit na bata pa lang. Makikita mo na yung ingenuity nila sa pagsulat ng istorya, sa paggawa ng script, sa camera works. Mabibilib po kayo talaga. Hahangaan niyo po sila. And ito, kami nakatutok din ngayon sa edukasyon nga na hindi lang po sa academic, hindi lalo na yung sa non-academic, yung mga kabataan na kapuspalad, pinag-aaralan po namin paano namin silang matutulungan para yung pangarap nila na makapagdirehe o maging cameraman, maganap at matupad. Dahil ito po gaya na sinabi nyo, ito po ang kinabukasan natin . Hindi ba? Walang katapusan po ang istorya ng pelikula. Wala pong katapusan.
Opo, tsaka mapapansin niyo po, no, Hong Kong, Thailand, Korea, ang pelikula sa kanila, turismo.
Opo, malaki na itutulong po.
Yun po, ganun ang pagpapahalaga nila sa pelikula, sa mga artista nila. Kung paano i-market sa international market, pang turista.
Totoo po.
Kaya umaakit yun po ang nakikita natin parang kulang, ano?
Yun, kaya nga po, kanya nga po, Senator Padilla, meron po kaming incentives, kanya po nagbibigay kami ng incentives para nga ma-attract sila na gumawa ng mga pelikula. Kahit yung local po natin, meron po kaming programa para sa local exclusive at meron din naman kaming programa doon sa mga international na gustong sumanib at makigawa ng pelikula na kasama ang local natin ng mga talento. And in the process, pagka dito sila nag-shoot, kumukuha po sila ng mga workers sa atin at pati mga ilang artista natin ay kinukuha nila. Kanya income generating pa rin para sa bansa at gaya na sinabi ninyo, yung pong sa turismo. Dahil kuminsan po, great example po yung sa Korea, yung mga ginagawa nila nung palabas. Pagkatapos pong gawin palabas, yung lugar na pinagsyutan, nagiging pong tourism destination . Pinupuntahan ng mga tao at yung lugar, nagsisimula ng magtayo ng mga tindahan yung mga tao ron. So, it's also income generating para doon sa kanilang teritoryo or para doon sa syudad nila. Nakakatulong po talaga.
Opo. Ano po yan? Kung naalala nyo po, ganyan naman yung mga pelikula natin nung araw. Ganyan, kung laging pupunta sila sa mga lugar na yun talaga ang sentro ng turismo.
May bibigay po ako sa inyong halimbawa ng Korea. Yung Korea po, yung gobyerno nila nagbigay ng $500 million para gumawa ng 25 pelikula. At doon po sa doon po sa 25 pelikula, isa lang po talaga yung pumutok. Isa lang yung talagang naging sikat na sikat. Pero dahil doon sa isang yon, it turned the heads of the world film industry towards Korea. I'm sure nabalitaan niyo po yung pelikulang yun. Yung pong Squid Games. Yun po. Dahil po sa Squid Game, mutok po talaga. And ngayon, para bang all eyes are focused on Korea. Kanya nga yung iba nagsabi rin, lalo na kayong mga Pilipino sa galing ninyo, sabi nga nila, all you need is one break. All you need is one big hit. At abangan po natin, ito parang simula na rin po siguro, yung isang pelikula po natin, yung OTJ, On the Job, The Missing 8. Ito po yung official entry natin sa Oscars for the Best International Feature Film, which stars Jan Arcelia. Sabi ko nga, siguro kung tayo'y palaring magwagi, be the start, sabi nyo nga, ng pag-ikot din ng mga tao na tignang talaga palang napakagaling nitong mga Pilipinong ito.
Opo. Okay naman po. Pero maganda din po yung isa ngayon yung Dollhouse.
Dollhouse.
Lumalabas po sa Netflix.
Kay Baron po.
Oo, kay Baron. Oo, itong ano kong to, tikas kong to, naiyak ako eh. Oo, maganda, pelikula yun. Hindi, yun po, magandang i-promote din po yun. Kasi para sa akin taong-tao si Baron dun.
Independent film po yun.
Opo. Isa na lang pong tanong din.
Opo.
Ano po ba mas importante sa inyo? Yung film preservation o yung building? Kasi hindi naman po kayang ibigay ng sabay, ano?
Sa akin po ngayon, yung building po, kasi po yung building, kasama na po yung pagtatayo ng vault ng pelikula, yung paglalagyan eh. Dahil doon sa plano po na 150 million, kasama na po ron yung archiving.
Okay.
Kaya mas mahalaga sa amin yon dahil ang gaya nga ng sabi nyo, ang importante ay mailigtas itong mga ginintuang pelikula natin na gawa ng gaya ng mga direktor na sila Lino Broca. Nito pong nakalipas na Philippine Film Industry Month, ang isa po sa naging palabas naming classic ay yung pelikulang Moises Padilla ni Ginoong Leopoldo Salcedo, which was done in 1961 by the great Jerry De Leon. Nakakatuwa po dahil yun po, tayo po ang nag-restore noon. Dito sa Pilipinas po, locally, na-restore natin yung pelikula. Kanya nakakatuwa po na may pagmalaki na nagawa natin yon.
Apo. Meron, ito lang pong tanong ko. Ito po ba may plano na?
Meron na po. May plano na po.
Ganun?
Meron na po. Nagawa na po
Pwede
namin.
po kami bigyan ng 5 sikat. Kami pong 5 sikat. Kasama din po ang ating mahal na tagapangulo, Senator Mark Villar.
Gagawin po namin yan. Sa lalong madaling panahon, padadala po namin sa inyo yung floor plan, pati po yung lugar na pagtatayuan ng building. May kausap na po kami sa TESA si Ginoong Mark Lapid. Meron silang ino-offer sa aming lugar doon na pinag-aralan na namin.
Saan po?
Sa Intramuros po.
Sa Intramuros. Ang galing naman. Oo, sa loob.
Sa loob po.
Maganda. Gaano kalaki yun?
Ang lupa po ay mga 800 square meters.
Ilang bubong palapag dito?
Sa pagkaaral po namin, isang basement, tapos 3 floor po.
3 palapag.
3 palapag po.
Opo, asahan po namin, sir, na mabigyan niyo po kami ng plano.
Senador, nakakataba po ng puso niya. Alam niyo siguro kung nandun kayo sa opisina namin, nagtatalo na ngayon lahat ng mga nagtatrabaho ron. Dahil ang tagal na nilang pangarap ito. Talaga.
Yan po kasi ang lagi pong sinasabi sa amin ni Senator Jingo Estrada. Hindi po lumalagpas ang sa isang linggo na lagi po niyang sinasabi sa amin na kailangan may gawin na tayo para sa industriya ng pelikulang Pilipino.
Senator Jungay, maraming salamat po. Napakalaking tulong nito kapag ito po yung naganap. At hayaan niyo po, papadalan ko po kayo ng kopya ng plano ng building, pati ng lupa at sa ating chairman ngayon, kay Senator Mark Villar. Maraming salamat po for this opportunity. Talagang, parang gusto tumalo ng puso ko palabas eh.
Salamat po, mahal na tagapangulo. Nagsasalita po si Senator Jingoy.
Hindi, pakiusapan natin si Senator Mark bilang dating secretary ng DPWH. Alam niya siguro kung magkano estimate ng building ng FDCP. At pangalawa, pakiusapan na rin natin si Senator Mark na wag na kumuha ng mga Korean telenovelas at ang production sa bagong stasyon nila yung mga Pilipino, yung mga galing ng mga Pilipino umarte. You know, I do not have anything against the Koreans or the Korean telenovelas. Pero sa akin lang, gusto ko lang makita na ang ating mga artistang Pilipino ang gumaganap sa ating mga telenovela. Ang i-promote natin yung sarili natin, yung artistang Pilipino, hindi yung artistang banyaga. Yun lang naman sa akin. Thank you, Senator Mark. Sana huwag kayong magpalabas ng mga ibang telenovela na hindi Pilipino.
Thank you for salamat sa advice sa Senator. At talagang nakakatuwa naman makinig sa pinag-usapan yung mga classic films. At sana Chairman magkaroon din ng mga film festival para sa mga iconic na films, yung mga binanggit niyo po kanina. Para mapanood ng mga millennials.
Next year po, meron po kaming plano tungkol po sa mga classics. Meron po kaming binabalak dahil nga medyo mataas ngayon ang presyo at ang mga tao ay medyo hirap. Next year po may plano kami ng mga iconic films na tatawagin naming 50 peso film.
Opo, yung
Yun po mga lumang ginto. Ang title po, Sine 50. Yun po yung plano namin. For next year po yan.
Opo,
malamang
importante po yan
malamang
kasi marami pong classic films katulad ng Utol Kong Hudlum.
Kaya po.
Walang iwanan,
Ano pa?
X-Man.
Sen-
Ano pa? Mga
Senator Mark, meron pa, Senator Mark.
ano pa?
Together Again ni Guy and Pete.
Ano ba ito? Film festival mo, boss.
Mga box office yan. Napanood ko yan nung 5 years old lang ako eh.
Senator Bingoy, bago ko nga pala makalimutan, may binigay po sa akin si Attorney Don Arawan, yung pong head ng aming Philippine Film Archiving. Nakalagay na po sa hard drive. Yung pong mga pinatatanong ninyong pelikula ni President Erap, ni President Mayor Erap, nandun na po sa opisina nyo, iniwan ko na po yung kopya. Hindi po kayong mga pelikula. At yun po, may mga isinama rin po ang mga pelikula nyo doon.
Alam mo, kung ako tatanungin, dapat kahit senador na si Senator Robin, pwede pa naman siya gumawa ng pelikula para at least bumango at maging active ulit ang industriya ng pelikulang Pilipino.
Totoo yan sinabi nyo, Senador.
Ha?
Totoo po yan sinabi nyo, Senador.
Kailangan umarte ulit si Senator Robin, tsaka si Senator Bong, tsaka Senator Lito.
Ano nga, Senator, to interject lang, sabi nga, alam niyo po yung kasabihan, once an actor, always an actor.
Oo naman.
Di po
Totoo naman
nawawala
yan.
yun.
Bagay na bagay po yan. Expendable. Pinoy version.
Senator Mark.
Chairman,
May tanong pa ba si Senator Robin?
Wala na po. Ako po yung maligaya na po. Maraming salamat po, Manong Jinggoy. Maraming salamat po, mahal na tagapangulo.
Chairman, isang tanong na isang few questions na lang po. Tungkol po sa lupa kasi meron kaming parang bago po ako umalis sa DP, meron po kaming inaayos na lupa para sa yung film archives, yung nasunog dati. Yun po ba yung inoffer sa iyo, Chairman? Yung lupa na yan, yung sa tabi ng bridge. Meron kasing magandang building luma nasunog. Philippine Archives. Yun ba yun?
Sa Intramuros po ba to?
Opo, sir. Intramuros po.
Hindi ko po sure, pero yun yung dating Beaterio.
Yes, opo.
Kung yun po ba yun? Opo, yung dating Beaterio. Yun po yata, dahil ang pumunta rin po at ang bago, ako po kasi chair, bagong po lang po. I've been in office for about 3.5 months pa lang po. At ang inabot ko po talagang nakikipag-usap tungkol doon sa lupa ay yung sa yung head po ng aming film archiving na si Attorney Don Arawan. At siya na rin ang nagsabi nga sa akin na tapos na po yung usapan na yun na nabitin lang ng konti. Alam mo yun nga po yung sinasabi ninyo yung sa Beaterio.
Yun, malamang yun. Pero Chairman, makakaasa po kayo sa suporta namin. Swerte po kayo at marami pong mga senators ngayon na nagmamahal po sa industriya. Kaya
napakaraming pasasalamat po na hindi namin inaasahan ito na mabanggit natin o mapag-usapan. Kanya talagang we owe a lot to you and we thank you. At talagang gaya ng hinuhingi ni Senator Padilla, bibigyan po namin kayo bawat isa ng kopya po nung planong nung building namin para makita po ninyo. And hindi kayo magsisisi dahil we planned it out, maging reasonable po yung presyo niya, pero tama po sa aming kapangangailangan. Yun lang po, Chair. Maraming salamat po sa oras na pinagkaloob ninyo sa FDCP.
Maraming salamat, Chairman. Are there any further questions sa mga senators? Are there any further questions?
Yun na po. Maybe
Ano po?
we have the
I
chance
move that
to
we submit.
building and
I
some
move that
other
we submit it to the
issue.
plenary.
Thank you. Thank you for the Film Development Council, Film Development Council for giving us backgrounds on your proposed budget. We'd like to also, with the motion of Senator Estrada, at this point, we would like to approve at the committee level and deem submitted to the plenary the budget of the Film Development Council of the Philippines, taking into consideration the discussion today. And the budget of the Optical Media Board is hereby deferred, and we will reset the hearing to another day.
Thank you very much, Chair Mark Villar. Thank you, Senator Jinggoy, and thank you, Senator Robin Hood Padilla, for bringing up these topics na napag-usapan po natin. Maraming salamat po. At pumasa po kayo. Ika pong gagawin namin yan. Bibigyan namin kayo ng kopya ng aming mga plano. At maligaya ko pong ibabalita sa mga nagtatrabaho sa FDCP na malapit nang matupad ang pangarap nila na magkaroon kami ng building. Salamat po.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you,
I'd like
thank
to
you.
convey my gratitude to our officials, your respective staff, for putting together such a well-prepared budget. So thank you to all the employees of the Senate, the senatorial staff here today, the Committee on Finance staff, the Subcommittee M team, the LBRMO, the OSAA, and the senatorial staff who are present. Maraming salamat po. This hearing is hereby suspended.
Thank you.